Point. We'll come back to that, and we'll come back to Obama. I'm going to play a track now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more about what's happened with the election. You're on 100.7 Highlands FM with me, Miss M, talking to Wynne Alexander, and we're just talking about all the issues to do with the recent and well-publicised and interesting recent election in the US. Stick around for more.
Power to the people.
It's 4:30. Hey, how you doing? Miss M with you this afternoon on 100.7 Highlands FM, the voice of the Rangers. And today I have the pleasure of talking to Wynne Alexander all the way from the US, and we've been talking about the issues surrounding the recent election in the US. Now, Wynne, there were many African Americans and Latinos who voted for Obama. However, I saw a few at the McCain election. I even saw some Latinos holding signs saying Latinos support McCain. What are the general trends for African American and Latino voters in the US?
Well, as far as the African American voting population, they've been solidly Democrat for decades. There's always been a smattering of Republicans. It ebbs and flows, but no matter where you are on the ebb-flow continuum, it's a small number of African Americans. I will say, though, back in the day when the Republican Party was more sane and they had a moderate wing, talking about the 60s and 70s historically, and Ed Brooks, the first black U.S. senator since Reconstruction, was a Republican.
Mm.
So there was a moment where actually, the Republicans seemed like a normal party. That hasn't been the case for quite some time, however. In terms of the Latino vote, I don't have those statistics in front of me. I will say this, though. There was a moment, particularly in the first Bush administration and possibly in the George W., his first election, where the Latino vote may have gone with the Bush family because they have some Latino family members. And I don't think that too many Latinos were fooled this time into, again, voting such a shallow idea. Just because somebody has purple people in their family doesn't even mean that they would fit the purple people.
Mm.
It's a very shallow way of conducting one's life and one's political affairs.
Do you think that people like Condoleezza Rice perhaps think that they could get ahead or further by going with the Republicans than with the Democrats?
I think that certainly I have known when I was a journalist in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is a northeastern major city in the northeastern part of the state. I certainly knew minority members who did go with the Republican Party because, yes, they could have a clearer shot at a more quick recognition. However, in Condoleezza Rice's case, I think we have a whole different deal. I think she's one of the scariest women I've ever seen in my life. One of the scariest people, man or woman. People forget Condoleezza Rice had an oil tanker named after her before she got to the White House. Chevron. She was on their board. This is frightening. I can't relate. So that when she hit the White House in her first incarnation with the Bushes, they have to remove her name from the oil tanker because if someone like me found out about it, it would be an obvious conflict of interest with me. This is scary. I don't know any African American women with oil tankers named after.
Mm.
I think I am worried. That worries me. I'm scared of that. I don't want someone in bed that much with the oil companies. And look, what happened during the Bush years Oil prices skyrocket. On flimsy excuses. The first excuse here in the state was Katrina. But the prices went up before the truckloads that would have reflected the hurricane's damage even hit our gasoline stores. They couldn't wait for a pretext to raise that thing, and then it stayed up and went higher and higher and higher. Chevron, oil tanks, bushels, oil. I get it. I get it. And these guys wrap themselves in the flag at the drop of the hat. But the truth is they're the worst enemies this country ever had. They're not patriots at all. They took the money and they ran. I think right now in the United States you can't even find a suitcase because the Bush family bought them all up so they can stuff the last bit of dollars into them and get them off to those Swiss bank accounts.
So do you think, compared to Condoleezza Rice, compared to, say, her predecessor, Madeleine Albright, do you think Madeleine Albright was a better peacemaker and negotiator than Condoleezza Rice?
Well, I can't actually answer about negotiator because even the worst people could be great negotiators. But I do know that Madeleine Albright set a very high set a very high score at enlightenment, at the appearance of enlightenment, at the appearance of inclusiveness, and about elevating all people together to the next level. I do not get that impression from Condoleezza Rice. I think that she is a guns and butter kind of person with an emphasis very heavily on the guns. And you know what? Regardless of who she is, she worked for one of the most heinous administrations. In fact, I could make the case, the most heinous administration in the history of this country. And anyone who could do that, I don't understand.
You're on 100.7 Highlands FM with me, Miss M. This is Experience of Divine, and today I'm talking to Wynne Alexander. She's kind enough to call us all the way from the US, and we are talking about all the issues to do with the recent election in the United States, plus some of the other issues as well. We're talking politics, basically, US politics, which is always intriguing and interesting.